Hello everyone, welcome to Ebenezer tutorials. With this video, we'll be starting with the programming in Python series. So in this video, we'll be covering the basic programming constructs and what all we need to know before we actually start coding in Python. So we'll start. The very first thing that we must know is how to write a hello world program in any language. So now that we are learning Python, we will see Python is one of the most preferred languages because it is very compact. The number of lines of codes are very less compared to the other languages. So even here in Python, if you simply want to print hello world, you just have to use the print function. And you can write so that's it. We'll try running it. And here we can see that the output is shown as hello world. So this is the print function in Python, and whatever we wish to print, we will have to, if it's a string, we will have to enclose it within quotes. It could be double quotes or single quotes. So I'll show the same thing with single quotes also. So it has printed the output as hello world again. And we don't need a semicolon or anything. You can add it, but it's not required because Python is an interpreted language. You don't, as long as each statement is on an individual line, you don't need to have something to show that it is the end of the statement. So you can omit it. Now this was the hello world program. I hope you all found it really easy. Coding in Python is really very easy as long as we understand some basics in it. Now the next thing that we'll see is how to perform some arithmetic operations in Python. So and one more thing, whenever we declare variables in Python, you don't need to specify its type. You simply have to take the variable name. So I want two variables, so I will give it the values. Supposing I have a variable A which holds 10 and B which holds 10. Now I want to store the result in a third variable which is C. So I will simply do this, and if I want to print, I will simply use the print function again and pass C to it. Now here I haven't enclosed it within quotes because I don't want to print C. I want to print the value in the variable C. So I have omitted the quotes. We can try running this. And here we get the output as 20. You can perform the same operations in case I take another variable as A minus B. You can have to multiplied by B and F to store divided by B. Now you can print the values directly. So here we can see A plus B, it showed it as 20. A minus B, 10 minus 10 is 0. A multiplied by B, 10 into 10 is 100, and A divided by B, it's 1. So it is showing the output. And whenever we want to print multiple values in Python, in the same print function, we have to separate it with a comma. If I just want to print some string in between, I can also do that with a comma. Now I'll show it again. Here we can see that the arrow has been printed. So this is how we perform arithmetic operations. It's very simple. You don't need to mention the data type. It will be automatically inferred from the data that you store. So now if we see in this program, we have hard-coded the values in the variables. But to have a generic code, it's important to know how we accept input from the user. So we will see that also. Now in Python, you can use the input function to take input from the user. So I'll just show it once. Supposing I have a value And if I use the input function, if I try to run this, now you can see it is printing the message. Now with this the user can enter some value. Okay, so this is the function that we need to use. Now we will go to the actual code. Now I want to accept two numbers from the user and perform the same set of 4 arithmetic operations that I've performed in the previous code. So we can start. I am again storing it in a variable a. Now note that I'm using a function int, and then within int I'm using input and I'm printing the message. Similarly, I'm using for the second number, I'm doing the same thing. Now input function, as I said earlier, it is used to accept input from the user. Now this input, in this case we want it as an integer, so you have to explicitly convert it into an integer using the int function. So whatever input we enter will be returned by this function, and that is passed to the int method within int, and then it gets converted to an integer, to a number. So once this is done, we can perform the same set of operations. So it would be a plus b, b equal to a minus b, e equal to a multiplied by b, and f is equal to a divided by b. We can print the result c comma d comma e comma f. So we will try running it. Now it's asking us to enter the first number. So if I enter the first number as 4, the second number as 8, now we can see the result. The first thing that I've printed is c, but what is c? It is a plus b. I have entered 8 and 4, so the sum is 12. In the second case we are subtracting, it is 4 minus 8, which is minus 4. In the third case we are multiplying, it's 4 into 8, which is 32. And in the fourth case we are dividing both the numbers, it's 4 divided by 8, which is 0.5. So this is the way we can accept input from the user. You have to use the input function, and in case the input that we are accepting is an integer, simply use the int method. So the value that is returned by the input function will be passed to int. Now just one more thing that we can just look here is, if you want to print the values individually, like sum is, you can also do this. So we can see how it will work. Okay, so it is printing sum is 10, difference is 2. So it depends on the way we want to format the output. So I hope you all have understood this. We saw how to print something on the console using the print function. We saw how to accept input from the user and how to perform arithmetic operations. The next thing that we will be looking at in this video is how to use a loop. Now for this we will take a simple example of printing the numbers from 1 to 10. So I am using the for loop first. So the syntax in Python is for. Now just as we have brackets in the other languages, it's not needed in Python, we can omit it. So I will take a variable which will store the iterating value, which is I in this case. Then we use the keyword in. Now in denotes a list of numbers. So in this case I'll be giving the list by the range function. Now this range function, it can take 1 or 2 parameters, or in some cases also 3. So I'll just explain it. Now I want to print the numbers from 1 to 10. So I will give the starting value is 1, the ending value is 10, but the range function will not take the end point. It will take 1 lesser than the stop value. So I will have to give 11 in this case, and then simply use the print function to print it. Remember, 1 is the starting value, 11 is the stop value. Okay, and it is, so the last number that will be printed will be 1 lesser than the stop value. So it is 11 here, it will get printed till 10. So we can check the output. Here we can see it's printing the values from 1 to 10. Now we can also give you can also omit the start value in case we want to start printing from 0. Now I'll just show you all the output from this. If we see the output, it is showing 0 to the last value, which is 10. So if you omit the start value, it begins from 0, but we didn't want that. We wanted to start printing from 1, so I gave the first parameter as 1. One more thing that can be done is you can also assign the step value. So if I want to, like in Java, C++, we write I++ or I is equal to I plus 2. The same thing here you can do by mentioning the step, which means at each iteration I want to increase the value or decrease the value by some number. So in this case I have given 2. So what is expected is 1, 3, 5. Okay, we will just see the output. Here we can see the output is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I told you all it doesn't take 11, even though actually 9 plus 2 is 11. It doesn't take the last number that you mentioned. So the output is 1 to 9, all the odd numbers. Now the same way, if I want to do it using a while loop, you can do the same thing. While, here also it's not necessary to mention the brackets. For this I will initialize a variable beforehand, which I will set to 1, and I will write the condition 1 lesser than equal to 10 and simply print its value. Sorry, not 1, it's num, and I will print the value of the variable. So we can try printing it. Okay, it was an infinite loop. Just increment the value of num after printing. So if you see the first, I'll just clear the screen and show it once again. Yeah, so if you see, this was where we ran the command. So it's initially printing 1 to 9, which is coming from the for loop, all the odd numbers, and after that, okay, and after that it's printing the sequence of numbers. It's printing 1 to 9, and then after that it's printing 1 to 10. So this is the way you can use the while loop also. And one thing to note here is, you will see that we put a colon, and after that whatever statements we write is coming after some space. So this indentation is very important in Python, failing which it may produce some wrong output. So if I put this here, this statement will not be considered something inside the for loop. It would be external to the for loop. So you must keep this indentation in mind while coding. So now what we have seen till here is how we how we code for a hello world program, just simply printing something, how we perform arithmetic operations by hard coding the values and accepting the values from the user, how to use loops in Python, for which we saw the for loop and the while loop, and the last thing that we will see is conditional execution. So if we want to use the if statement, how do we use it in Python? It's very easy for this also. In case I want to find the maximum of two numbers, so I take num1 equal to some value, num2 equal to some value, and I am using if to check the greater number. So simply here also the brackets are not essential. If num1 is greater than num2, we can conclude that num1 is greater. So you can print num1 is greater, else print num2 is greater. So we can check this also. Now we can see the output. It's showing that num2 is greater because 20 is greater than 10. You can also check for some more conditions, like if I want to check if both are equal, num1 equal to num2, then I will print both the values are equal. Now this also should be else if the number 1 is greater than num2, its num1 is greater. So instead of else if in Python, it is elif. So if num1 and num2 both are equal, we will print this message elif, which in other languages is else if num1 is greater than num2, we will print that num1 is greater, and if both the above conditions fail, we will print that num2 is greater. So we can try executing it again. It will give the same output. Now instead of hard coding the values, we will take it from the user. Now we can try running the same code. It's asking me for num1, which I will give any random value. It will print num2 is greater. Now I can give the same value for both. It will print both the values are equal. Now if I give the first value as 8 and the second value as 4, it will print that num1 is greater. So this is the way we use if else in Python. So these are the basic things that we need to know before we start coding in any language. So we have seen it in this part of our video. So what we have seen is a hello world program, how to perform arithmetic operations, and how to use the conditional construct and looping construct. In the next video, we'll be seeing some advanced concepts and how we can perform some more higher level coding. So I hope you all have understood what we learned in this class. If you all liked the video, please like it and also share it with your friends and relatives, and don't forget to subscribe to Ebenezer Tutorials to stay tuned. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Please like the video and also share it with your friends and relatives. And don't forget to subscribe to Ebenezer Tutorials to stay tuned. Thank you.